Hi friends, my name is Jake. Welcome to Canadian Cutting Edge, and today we're taking a look at the Honey Badger drop point style. This is my first Honey Badger knife, and as you can see, there's a drop point style blade right there. They come with FRN handle scales in 4 colors. There is a limited edition version of this one, which is all black with a black wash D2 blade, which cost a bit more. I don't think White Mountain Knives has it. I took a look and I couldn't find it, but some other stores have it. I've got prices down below for buying it directly from Honey Badger or from White Mountain Knives, the best price I could find after you save 10% with coupon code CCE. Blades Canada, aka Warriors and Wonders, has these as well if you are averse to buying from the United States. If you're a Canadian and you really want this, you can get it there. So, it's not a lot more. It's about $20 to $25 more if you get the D2 version in large. And it's like $11 to $13 more if you get the 8CR13 MOV versions. And that's the spread for all the sizes between small, medium, large. On Blades Canada, Warriors and Wonders, they say there's a mini version that's the same size as the small version. So if you see mini or small, it's the same small. So there's not 4 sizes, there's 3. So an FRN handle scales, D2 blade, not a bad price for this. You know, the low 50s or mid 50s sort of, but you save 10%, makes it the low 50s. And it's a decent blade shape. You want to know the details though, don't you? Let's go over to the tabletop. I'm going to take a good close look at the Honey Badger. Pivot pins lined up. Yeah, you can see this is a smaller knife, but that's because this is a regular large full-size knife. This is the medium. The large version of this knife is closer to the size of the rat, but I think it's still a tiny bit shorter than the rat. The price difference on these Honey Badgers is very little between the small, medium, and large. So really, forget about the price. Go for the one that is the size that you want. And thankfully, there are sizes that are under 3 inches. That's the small one. Because there's a number of my viewers that live in jurisdictions where there's 3-inch laws. So if you want a 3-inch one, there you go. I was a bit hesitant to get my Honey Badger. It's been a while, and they've been out for a while, I mean. I was a little bit concerned, because like with the Griptilian that I have from Benchmade that a kind viewer gave to me, the FRN, it just made it loud when I opened the knife. But this, yeah, it doesn't have that problem. It's a little bit loud, but it's not crazy or anything. That rat is probably louder than this is. So, yeah, it's not bad at all. But then again, that's not G10 either. So, full flat grind, drop point blade, lots of belly here. About half of the blade is flat, a straight edge. And they did a half decent job sharpening this. The tip area, like the end third, they did quite a bit more poorly than the main section. The main section here has been sharpened quite well, pretty consistently from side to side. It's just near the tip. Whoever was sharpening this started going wiggly as they were sharpening at the tip. There's a sharpener's choil here. It's just barely good enough for my liking. I would like it to go in the blade a little bit further. Sharpen this knife 5 or 6 times and it's going to start running out of sharpener's choil to help keep the edge, the heel here nice and clean. It's not terrible. I just wish the sharpener's choil was a little bit bigger. No blade play side to side, but we've got some flex. The liners in here are not terribly thick, and then the FRN isn't very stiff, and so it flexes back and forth. And that's just par for the course for what you get here. But lock up, there's no blade play up and down. Side to side, I wouldn't call it blade play. When we look at the fit and finish of the FRN over the liners, not only is there flex, but look at this, the FRN falls off of the liners. You can see that right there. When we look at the alignment of the blade, yeah, that looks pretty good. Until you look at this shot, especially the close-up, you can see that the FRN is pulling away again over on this corner. So it's mostly, this show side one that doesn't seem to fit quite right. Lock up here, it's quite good, pretty much where I like a brand new knife to be. So there's room for it to wear over. The release here, I really like this. You got good access to the lock bar release, and there's some jimping on the top. I never had to be concerned if I was missing the lock release with my thumb. I didn't have to concentrate on that, didn't have to think about it. It just came naturally. I really dislike it when I have to think about what I'm doing when I unlock a knife. If you're brand new to knives, you're going to be thinking about it every time, but after a while, it comes easy. It's a nice cutout here. I really like how they did that. The handle here, it's a pretty basic handle shape. It's slightly modified. There's a little bit of a radius here. There's a big lanyard hole back there. We've got T6 screws holding it together. So we've got the main screw here holding it together. And back here, I think the back screw, well, these two screws are different lengths. So if you take this apart to move the pocket clip, remember that the furthest back screw is the long one and the inner screw is the short screw. It's a T8, not too much play, and it's a fairly deep screw, so that's quite nice. And yep, they got a D-shaped pivot pin. I can feel it, and I tried to tighten and loosen it. I didn't need to adjust it any time during my testing, so I'm happy with that. There is a little bit of skeletonizing in here. The balance point on this knife is quite good, pretty much where you want it to be. I wouldn't mind it being a tiny bit forward, but very, very minor difference. Of course, it's the honey badger, so they've got that sort of honeycomb texture motif going on. It does offer extra grip, so I like that. And here on the belly of the handle, it's comfortable. The edges are slightly rounded, and you go to grab it, it's comfortable. They put jimping on the FRN here. Now, I haven't seen that be successful very often at all, but this little bit of jimping that they put on that FRN there, it actually helps. And so it's a little bit surprising, but it does. And then there's jimping up here. I wouldn't have minded if this jimping came forward another 1/4 of an inch, another, 4 or 5 millimeters along the blade. But that's okay. The flipper, it's got jimping on the front. We've got 4 lines milled into it and rounded off the top. So light switch method works fine. And just pushing down an angle, that works fine as well. We've got a nice hole here. It looks different on one side to the other. On mine, at least a little bit. I think when they chamfered it, they went in a little bit further on this side than they did on this side. That's just a little manufacturing error. This is made in China. The company is a South African company, but the knives are made in China. And yep, you can flick it open from underneath, right-handed or left-handed. It's no problem. So you got the hole flick or the flipper flick, and it works quite well. We've got ball bearings in there, so we'll take a look at those later on. This is the D2 version. So it says D2 on the blade right there. You can also get it in 8CR13 MOV. Some of the main differences on the 8CR13 version is, of course, the price is less, and there's a forward finger choil on the 8CR13, and the jimping on the flipper tab is on both sides, but that's because one side is the finger choil side, and so they've got jimping on the finger choil for extra grip. I'm thinking I probably would have been happy buying the 8CR13 version because, it's roughly a third less money. Pocket clip is right and left. We've got, effectively, it's the same as flush screws because They're sunk in below the texture here that's on the handle scales. Sort of a square corner here. I did a little bit of a search. These pocket clips tend to break because you've got the fold here right where it's thin, and so these 2 points, they get weak more easily, and they break. But it's not that hard to get new pocket clips. Warranty on these things is 10 years. I didn't look up and find anybody who's got warranty experience on this, how good they are. If you've had a warranty claim with Honey Badger, let me know in the comments how that went. So the pocket clip is right and left friendly. One cool thing that they did, they put a steel spacer on the show side. So when you take this out, you've got a spacer to get out. I had a tough time getting that spacer out. I'd shake it and stuff until I finally woke up and said, hey, I should get a neodymium magnet, and then popped it right out, no problem. How the pocket clip is changed from side to side, I quite like it. It's just that it's a little weak right there. Let's take a look at it going into a pocket. We've got just a scoop coming up, and I didn't have it ever catch and not want to go on there. It just worked quite well. There's not an awful lot of spring tension there, but there you go, it's in the pocket. This blue might stand out a little bit visually, but you've got your choice of those other colors as well that you can use. So pocket clip, it passes, but it's not a great pocket clip by any stretch of the imagination. Badging. We've got a Honey Badger there. We've got a Honey Badger there. We've got a Honey Badger there. To me, that's overkill. This Honey Badger on the handle, good enough. I would leave that off the blade, and I'd leave that off the pocket clip, if I could, but I really can't. And this D2 here, I would have liked it to have been smaller and put up here on the ricasso instead of out on the blade. But it's not that annoying. It's not that big of a deal. All right, it's time now to go over all the sizes and dimensions. And since this is blue, I think I'm going to switch this out. I'm going to just use the gray background for the rest of the video. Yeah, I think I should have done that before so that you can get a better look at it. There we go. So the sizes, dimensions, and stuff, this is on the screen. The weight of this knife, 82 grams, 2.9 ounces. The sharpness from the factory, measured, in this region, 235 bests. Somewhat worse than average. A fair bit worse than average, actually. Cutting edge length, 81 millimeters, 3.19 inches. Remember, this is the medium. Blade length, tip to the closest spot on the upper end, 82.6 millimeters, 3¼ inches. The thickness of the blade, 3.49 millimeters, 0.1375, so over 1/8 of an inch. Blade depth, the widest point is right back here, 26 millimeters, 1.02 inches. How thick is it behind the grind? 0.46 millimeters, 18/1000 of an inch. So I like that. You can sharpen it several times before it starts getting thick behind the grind. Well, hopefully quite a few times. The grind angles. This side, it's about 18.4 in this region. And on this side, in the same region, it's about 17.5. It goes up to 25.3 on this side. And on this side, it goes to 20.9 on that last bit. Yeah, I already talked about that before. Not that great. The handle length is 104.5 millimeters, 4.11 inches. The grip area, it's about 9 centimeters, about 3.5 inches. The thickness of the handle is 12.5 millimeters, 0.492 of an inch. So it is a bit thin compared to a lot of knives, but I'm okay with that. The handle depth, it's widest right here, and that is 25.9 millimeters, 1.02 inches. And when the knife is closed, of course, it's where the flipper is. That's the largest, 34.2 millimeters, 1.35 inches. And the total length of this knife is like this, 187.1 millimeters, 7.37 inches on this medium knife. I already talked about the price. Now, what do I think of this knife? Mostly, I think the 8CR13 version is the better deal because you get stainless steel. You know, of course, you get a little better edge durability, edge retention, I should say, with the D2. But the 8CR13 is much more versatile in many more environments than the D2 version. I'm very glad that they put it out with two different steels. And I'm very glad that the 8CR13 is a fair bit less money than D2. So there's that. How comfortable is the grip? It's quite comfortable. My hand is just into the extra large range, and the medium is okay. I think I would like the large a bit better, but the medium fits my hand fairly well. So most guys, the medium is adequate in terms of how it feels in the hand. The pivot action's good. I like that. Oh, by the way, at the end of the video, I'll take it apart. The lock release is good. Lockup is good. I don't like the flexing side to side. Can't do anything about it. The blade shape, I like this drop point blade shape. It's a very efficient shape. This shape of a blade, a full flat grind, when it's sharpened properly, cuts very well. It's thin enough behind the grind to be efficient. It's a little bit thicker at the tip, a little thicker behind the grind than it is back here. That just makes it a bit stronger if you pierce it into things. So that's not bad at all. The only things I don't really like, I don't like FRN. I've just never been a fan of it. I wish they'd had a G10 version. Maybe do the FRN with the 8CR13 and use G10 with the D2. Maybe something like that would have been more attractive. At this price point, you know, it should be D2. The lanyard hole, yeah, it's quite well done. And like I talked about the pocket clip, it's not as durable as it should be, but it holds okay. The other big con I already mentioned, I don't like it when companies put their branding multiple times on a knife. At least it's not super large. And here it's larger, but it's the same color. It sort of blends in, so I don't mind it at all, that size on the handle. So that's that. Let's take it apart and see what it looks like inside. Okay, so here it is. The ball bearings are very tiny. Most knives have larger ball bearing balls. You can see all the skeletonizing in here. That helps keep the weight down. And on this side, we've got a very clean, distinct D-shape hole, which is a good thing. And of course, big D shape for the pivot pin. So that works. Taking this part off, no problem. They've got some Loctite in here, but it wasn't any problem taking the pivot pin off. But this body screw, the first body screw back here, I thought that it was going to strip. I was having to put a fair bit of tension on it. I was just about going to go back and get my drive grip, that's an anti-camo fluid, and use that because I thought it might strip, but it didn't. It came out, and the screw is still in good condition. Thankfully, the screw head hole is deep enough that it stayed in there and didn't cam out. There's the back spacer right here with the lanyard, and let me see, let's take this off. If you want to use it without the back spacer, that's just fine. They've got the standoffs right there. And let's just see. Let's put it on here. Yep, it sits on there just fine. So if you don't like back spacers, this knife can be just as good without the back spacer. And it'll be just as sturdy and strong. What do you think of it? Would you be getting one? Do you have one? What was your experiences with it? Let us know in the comments down below. Thank you, my friends, for watching this video. Thanks for liking, sharing, commenting, and subscribing. And remember, always cut towards your chum, not your thumb. Bye for now.